How you doing?
I'm good. I'm going to apologise because I'm going to look like a spastic. I'm putting these on.
No, you look great. I love it.
I've got a ring light, yeah, because my room's dark, and it's just I don't know how they expect you to sit in front of a ring light without your eyes going crazy. So I've just had to counter it with the glasses.
It looks great. You look like Bono.
Good, sweet. That's all right
then. So James, you're the most punctual bodybuilder I've ever met in my life.
I tried to.
You were ready to roll 15 minutes early.
I was. Do you know what? It's because I'm always attached to the bloody phone. It's my fault.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's a good thing.
I just there's always something going on, isn't there? And I hate missing things. So if an important message comes through and I miss it by even 5 minutes, I start going. So I keep in close proximity.
Yeah, especially where your sponsor is from the States, and the time lapse. You got to be ready at all times, right?
Oh, exactly. You never know what's going to get called upon you. So, yeah, got to make sure you're up and at 'em as soon as they need you.
Good. So, James, I don't know if you have watched the podcast before, but say hello to Nate Tello. He's a good friend of mine, and he's a big fan of yours.
Yeah, no, I've had a watch. I've seen you guys. I've watched a few episodes, so I'm familiar. I'm a fan, so it's nice to actually get on. So when you asked, I was more than delighted to come and join you boys.
Awesome. We appreciate it. Nate, are you there?
Yes.
All right. So I wanted to start off with asking, a little bit about your history. I know that you do Fuad's thing, the bodybuilding and bullocks, and you're on there quite a bit.
Yeah.
And, but a lot of people may not know about your history, how you came up in bodybuilding, how you turned pro. Was that a challenge for you? Did it happen easily? I know it's very difficult to turn pro in the UK. In fact, for a period of time, when someone turned pro in the UK, not only did they turn pro, but they were ready to roll and be an impact player.
Yeah.
The names were, obviously Flex Lewis, then you had Nathan Diasha and Luke and yourself. Like every one of these names were impact players right away. It's not like in the States where you have 10 guys turning pro in one show, or even 14 guys turning pro at nationals.
Yeah.
Very rarely are they making an impact, but you guys, bam, right out of the gate. So tell us a little bit about your contest history and how that came about.
Okay. So, yeah, literally, like, I'll highlight what you're saying there as well, because obviously in the UK, for a long time, it was only one winner, overall winner gets their card. Right. So I was the last guy to get it that way. But I'll go back a little bit before. I actually started competing in 2008 as a junior. And, I was a fanboy of Nathan Diasha, Flex Lewis, because they were both junior British champions themselves. So the first British finals I actually went to watch was 2007, and that's when Nathan Diasha actually won the junior title. And that kind of made me catch the buzz. I was like, I want to be like him. So my eyes weren't even on anything above that level at the time. It was literally just like, okay, if you're junior Mr. Britain, you're doing very well. And that was it. That was my Mr. Olympia. So I went away for like 2 years and just trained my ass off. And basically in 2008, the following year, I qualified for the finals, but I came second at my qualifier, and I didn't want to go if I was only second in my qualifier. So I took one more year. I won a qualifier, and then I went to the British finals as a junior in 2009, and I managed to win the junior title first go. So I had that relative success from the beginning, which obviously when you start on a good foot, it's very easy to keep going. So that was 2009. And then it wouldn't be actually until 2014 that I'd win my next title, which would be the super heavyweight category. And I lost out on the overall win to Nathan Diasha that year, because he actually won the heavyweights and overall, which, as far as physiques go, to lose to someone, Nathan's incredible. He went away literally the year after that and started making a dent in the IFBB immediately. Right. And then what happened with me personally, actually on a personal level after that, I kind of got a little bit burnt out from bodybuilding. I decided in 2015 to go and climb Kilimanjaro in Africa, so I had a bit of time out. I came back and I was really like revitalized for bodybuilding again. But I made the big mistake of thinking that I could just jump straight back in. Jumped back in, and I got squashed. I literally went to the British finals and didn't even place. So I went from being the champion to nobody. So it was a real wake up call, and it would take me a further 2 years on top of that to get myself back to where I was and beyond. And in 2017, I managed to win my super heavyweight category again, and finally the overall as well. So basically, it took from 2009 to 2017 to become a professional, and I literally competed every year at the finals, because once I'd won a junior title, fortunately, they actually let me compete as a British champion in whatever category I wished, because they kind of honour that previous title holders can actually compete. So it helped me a lot, because it meant I didn't have to do too many shows in between. But I did win some shows in between as well. But it did allow me to focus. So that's kind of my amateur career. It wasn't a clear run. It was very difficult. Like I say, in 2015, I literally went from being the guy expected to be a pro to not even getting a placing in the finals and going home literally after 10 minutes.
Was the year that Nathan won, was Luke in that class as well?
Yeah, I smoked Luke back then. I used to be better than Luke, and then he just took over me. I was like, I used to not even think anything of Luke. I used to wind Luke up. I was like, you'll never come in shape. And then,
well, that was the knock on him, right?
It was, and then didn't take long. I think 2016, Luke just kind of matured into his own and then overtook everyone.
Yeah, I remember meeting him at the 2016 Body Power, and I swear to God, I had never seen a bodybuilder that big off season. I didn't know what to make of it. I was like, is he a strong man? He looked like a strong man walking around. He was so wide, so heavy, and short. He's like 5'8", and he was so big, like 280. I didn't know what to make of him.
He was like, it's almost like he had no myostatin. Like he just put like muscle would just go on like everywhere. Yeah. There wasn't a part of Luke of his physique that wasn't freaky.
Yeah, and like, he was very complete, very complete,
very. And someone like him would pick apart himself and be like, "Oh, my chest isn't as good," but in reality, his chest was fucking humongous. But it's just because everything else is so humongous that he never really thought of his strong points. But crazy genetics. And after him winning that 2016, me and him actually became even like kind of closer as friends, and he gave me a very good push in 2017 to try and join him in the professional league. So a lot of my achievements that year were based upon a lot of belief installed in me from his kind words. So he did a lot for me that year.
So I don't want to leave out my boy, my very good friend. I love him. Is Anth Bales from the UK? There. Do you know Anth?
I love Anth. Anth and me are good friends. I love Anth. I did a guest post for Anth once. That's my only guest post I've ever done.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah,
I did too. It was awesome. We had so much fun up there.
So cool.
He is honestly one of my favorite people in the world. Like a genuine guy, and he's a machine too.
He's brutal. He's smashed me to pieces many times. You expect to go train with the 40-year-old geezer doing legs, and you think you're gonna wipe the floor with him, and then you end up coming out broken. Like, he smashed me to pieces, honestly. And everyone thinks I train hard. Like, they're like, James is a beast. I'm like, go train with Anth. Like, Anth is actually, he's savage. Like, when people talk about Dorian and how Dorian was, Anth is just Anth's Dorian 10 years later. Like, he's just the same blood. Like, if Dorian had I know Dorian has a son, but if he had a son that we knew of who trained, it's almost like it is Anth.
Right.
Phenomenal geezer. Like, Anth, I love that. Like, I would get on a train now and go up to Anth, and he would look after me. He's just such a good person.
Exactly.
His hospitality is next. Like, this is the best. And the thing is, he is what we are. He's a true in and out bodybuilder who just loves this shit.
Yeah. You mentioned Dorian Yates, and it's no coincidence that he trains with Dorian's old training partner,
Leroy.
Leroy is an animal. That guy is a character.
He's possibly worse than him.
Yeah, he is. I've trained with them both a couple occasions, and at first I had to keep myself from laughing. I'm like, this guy is just screaming in my face. And, I wasn't used to it. But as it went on,
You're like, this is actually
I
real.
realized it was true intensity and it was real.
He's drill sergeant. Like that ain't put on. That's like, he's bleeding passion while you're training.
Right.
Yeah. And he wants to take you to your limits. Like if he sees you doing 1% less than you're capable of, he's in your ear.
Yeah.
He's going to bring it out of you. And that's what I just love about the guys like that. And they kind of paint a really good scene for like some of what the British scene has. Like them two are the epitome of in my opinion, bodybuilding here. And they're just a joy to like watch and listen to. I think they're fantastic. I'm glad you brought him up because Amp's a legend. Like people throw the word legend around a lot, but like Amp actually is a legend.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
100%. So that brings me to the next thing. It is something that I've always said, and I've through the years of my travels and meeting everyone, that it seems like the East Coast guys, Boston, New York, Connecticut, that are very similar to the British guys in their intensity, in their, blue collar work ethic, and no nonsense.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
When I've met through the years, everyone in the world, my closest relationships to this day are to guys from the UK. It's like we have more in common, a similar way of thinking. Do you find that the Brits, the guys from the UK are just, balls to the wall, no nonsense kind of guys?
There's certainly traits that like are very mirrored, because like obviously yourself, I'm good friends with Evan, and I've always found Evan just to be, he doesn't have that feel. He hasn't got a California feel to him because he's not. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's why I can gel with someone like him, who, he can be really formal and he can, talk the politics side of things, but he's also just like hard work, real labor, and recognizes when someone's made effort. Like even today, I tagged him in a story about Haribo, and he loves Haribo, and he replied straight away, and then he just said, well done for the shows and stuff. And there's just a real respect there, like with people like Evan, that I find that other people don't necessarily have. There's never a devious nature to someone like him. And nor anyone I've met that are like him, like you say, like yourselves or anyone. So I don't know. I think just there must be similar traits in terms of personality, beliefs, morals, that just seem to be the same. I'm not taking anything away from anyone who's on over California way, but I've been to California and it is very different. I went there with Sasan to support Sass when he competed in Cali, and people are different. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but when you're thinking about who would you gel with most, like you say, it's definitely more of like an East Coast thing. Like you think about, Steve Weinberger and Dorian, like they're kind of the same. Like they got that, all right, mate. Like it's kind of, you could tell they were a couple of geezers back in the day. You could tell.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what it is. It's just something that's an old relationship between the two areas that's just kind of still present, and the people have that connection. I love it. I've been to New York and I've trained in Steve's and posed for him, and just kind of felt the atmosphere. And it's not the same, but it's certainly more in tune with what's going on here.
Right. So you mentioned Sasan. He is another one. Through the years, I've got to spend a lot of time with him as well. Yeah. And both Anth and Sass have both come to Boston and stayed here, and we've gotten to spend a significant amount of time together and hang out. And Sass is another one, is real as it gets, is great. And when you talk physique, like guy's physique, I don't know how he doesn't win every show he does. When I see him in person posing, I'm like, he is so separated, so detailed. I would pick him as a winner in every show. I know he gets outsized in some of them, but he's got everything.
It's the quality, isn't it?
Right.
Like, I see him compete in Cali, didn't I? And I had him in first. I had him in first clearly.
Yeah.
And it's a shame, because if he had done one more show, maybe after, whatever it would have been, he would have won. I think more with Sass, it was just maybe about just because he didn't. he's not an overly confident. He's quite insular, which is fair enough, because if you are how you are, you don't want to be broad and bolshy and out there. He likes to, he's a family man. He's very reserved. He likes to keep himself to himself and concentrate on getting the job done. I think maybe if he did one more show after the Cali or whatever, he would have just wiped the floor with it, because you can't not reward what he has, because it's just exceptional. Like when he was wanting to do the Arnold that year and he didn't get the invite, I was thinking, if he does this Arnold, he's going to win. Like I was like, he can win the Arnold. He's got the physique that can win the Arnold. And to say that says a lot about a physique, because not many physiques can win that kind of show. Like you say, separated. Like I've never seen quads detail like it. From the hip down to the knee, split, and you could put your hand in it, and you could literally like swipe your fingers all the way down.
Right.
Detailed hamstrings drop. Crazy, just an amazing physique, and on top of that, such a peaceful, lovely guy.
Yeah, and
he's a dad now. He's a dad now as well, and he's a dad now.
Yeah.
So
he's a great dad.
Yeah.
So, how close do you live in location to those guys?
I'm a good few hours from like SAS. We're so due to catch up, and every time it does, I was either getting my balls deep in prep, or we get another lockdown. So literally, like, we've just gone into another lockdown. So I'm gonna have to wait again until I can see him. But probably be a couple of, maybe 3 hours, 2.5 hours on the road, which isn't too bad. In England, it's funny because we're like, in America, 2.5 hours is nothing on the road, but here we consider that like a fucking whole day. We're like, nah, man, that's too much. But
but you have 2-lane highways.
Exactly. It's just because travel here is just bollocks, because it's so small and congested.
Right.
But yeah, he's not too far, and I'm due a catch up. We talk very frequently on Messenger, and just checking on each other and stuff. And he's again another person like Amp, who's one of the first people to throw support your way and wish you luck and whatnot. So the community spirit between a few of us is just amazing.
Right. You guys are all very similar.
Yeah, definitely.
So Nate has a few questions. If he was asking, he wanted to bring up whether you'd like no fingers or no toes to eat your food with. He had a few of those type of questions.
One of those, these weird ones. Yeah, we all love these weird questions. It seems to be more popular than anything these days. I'm happy to do anything, whatever you want to ask.
Yeah, none of that ridiculous. Actually, I want to go back. You briefly touched upon being burnt out of competing and hiking Mount Kilimanjaro. So what was going on in your life at that point, and why did you pick that of all things, right? Versus skydiving, or sometimes when people are having these kind of quarter life crises, they choose to do something to really get the adrenaline. Why did you pick that? And did you do serious training leading up to that? Like somebody would train for a marathon, or talk about that.
So as you guys know, bodybuilding is so confined. It limits your ability to travel, in a sense of, while you're preparing for a show, you're literally spending the same time in the same box. And I had done that since I was probably about 16 years old, because obviously I started training when I was 14. And I had the mindset of wanting to be the champion from young. So I just cut off a lot of my life in order to try and be good at something. And I think I just got to that point where I was like, I've spent so much time within these four walls that if I don't do something now that allows me to see a little bit outside, like hypothetically and mentally, then it could be dangerous, because I might end up losing out on something that possibly could be better for me. So that was kind of the main thought process behind it. Is like, I've just come off the back of a win. It's a good time to go and get some respite. And I wanted to do something that took me out of where I am and as far away as possible, so that I can truly be out of my comfort zone and out of my depth, and just take in all new experiences, because it was no use me choosing to do something that is similar or already resonates with me, because therefore I'm not going to learn anything new or experience anything new. So to go and climb a mountain in Africa when I'm like someone that's used to lifting weights and doing low reps and not doing much was just the kind of challenge I needed. It was just something that was going to test me, because I still wanted to be tested. I still wanted to be challenged, but just needed something fresh and different. And those two kind of factors alone were enough to encourage me to do it. It was like a spiritual thing for me, if I'm honest, man. It was like, I need to get in touch with myself a bit, spent so long doing bodybuilding, being on low calories, using certain compounds that suppress how you are and how you feel as a human, that you kind of can fall in the trap of losing yourself a bit, especially when you've spent a lot of your life competing and you're only a young man, you know, and you haven't really found yourself. So I just thought to myself, if I'm going to be able to find myself, now's the time. And that was it. It was me going away, getting out of here and trying to find myself, and knowing that I'm going to go there, do it, and it's going to be exactly what I need in order to know what's going to be the next step for me, because it'll clear my mind. It's purification of like my soul and just my mentality. And if I still love bodybuilding when I get back, then that's right for me, because I've done everything that I had to do in order to check. So that was really what I was about. And when it comes to training for it, really, I didn't do anything too crazy. I got in the gym and I just did some sprint intervals just to get my fitness up, reduced a bit of my body weight. And that was it. I didn't really have to do anything crazy, because I knew a lot of it come down to altitude itself. But I didn't do any altitude training. No, I didn't do any of that. I just was fortunate enough that my body, when it came to it, wasn't too bad with altitude. So yeah, I just kind of lost a bit of weight and got a bit fitter.
So with with that being said, that time of your life there, and it allowed you to step away from it, realize you love it, come back. This past year, you've really had a breakthrough year. You seem to be the guy a couple years prior where everyone talked about your potential. You'd see the photos leading into a show, and there was always a little bit of a letdown on show day. He just didn't quite nail it. He's not as full, but this guy has potential. And this year you hit that potential, right? You went from that second tier of guys to the first tier, where if James is in a show now, James is in the talk to win it, which is a huge step up. So with that being said, how has that changed? How does that feel? How has that changed your mindset? Does it feel like there's more pressure now because now you're up a level, there's more expectations that you're expected to win a show, expected to do well in an Olympia, just expectations from everybody, from fans, from sponsors. And where is your headspace after grinding so hard these last few years, turning pro and making these steps up to now winning shows? Do you feel like you now need a little bit of a break after pushing so hard, or are you more in love with it than ever and you want to keep pushing?
I'm gonna start right at the end. So yeah, I'll say it to you guys now. I'm having a little break now. Hence why I did the British, because I wanted that 2021 qualification. Because in my mind, so I'm just going to speak on where I'm thinking in a minute. My mind is that I had 6 months with Patrick and we did really good with that time. We did a lot in 6 months. We leveled me up from being that second tier pro to like you say, someone who can go into a show and win. And mathematically speaking, and me knowing myself, I don't think that this Olympia is going to be something I do, because I've qualified for next year and I'm looking at the long run. Plus, if I'm looking at the state of affairs in the world right now with lockdown and, the situation with travel and stuff, we're not allowed to leave the UK for the next 4 weeks regardless. And if I go, I have to quarantine for 2 weeks somewhere prior to the Olympia in order to even do it anyway. So that's 6 weeks written off. So I'm like, so that's why, in my mind, I'm like, okay, all right. It is what it is. You did the right thing. You went and got your ticket for next year as well. I just feel like, wow, listen, I've done something in 6 months with Patrick that now I have almost a year to do. So I'm just focusing on that. I'm just like, okay, if we can level up by 5% again, and people are already considering me someone that can do well, then I'm very confident that I can do even better. Do I feel pressure? I do, but you should feel pressure. I think pressure is really important. I think it's a part of the process, and I think it's a great thing for you. If you are someone who doesn't let it weigh you down, but just lets it become somewhat a fuel. Because I like to be someone who is considered good. I bodybuild to be good. I bodybuild to be someone that is a champion. I never bodybuild just so it pleases myself. Some people do. I take a lot of pride in pleasing people. I like that when people are like, "You're my favorite bodybuilder," it means a lot to me, and it's an encouraging thing, and it's certainly a drive for me. So to be fair, like this year, my mental shift from previous shows and previous years has been totally different, because I kind of looked at Hunter Labrada's approach, where he was just like, let's just expose it all and put it out there, and what will be will be. And I found that really rewarding, the way he was doing it, because I thought, you know what, just be accountable, put it out there. Show day. It doesn't matter if you show yourself every day or you don't. whatever's going to happen on that day is, and don't feel too crazy, don't feel too pressured. So I just thought I'm going to just take things how they feel most comfortable to me. You know, some people are like, why are you showing yourself every day? Like, you know, don't you think people get bored of your physique? I'm like, if they do, they do, but I don't see it like that. I see it like, if I can show people the process and put it out there every day, then I have to be on my game, because I'm adhering to something, and it's easier to adhere to something if you're putting it out there. Whereas if you're keeping everything kind of closed in, for me, I find it harder to get that external pressure. I like the external pressure. Like, I can't just do it all internally. So putting things out there and having people converse about what you're doing is like a secondary momentum into your own approach. Because obviously, if I bottle everything up and I just keep it to myself, I'm the only person in control. There's no external factors. But I like that whole, oh, James looks good, he could do well at this show. That motivates me. That's like, okay, shit, yeah, I'm going to keep working. So that's kind of my mindset now, and I'll do the same throughout the year. You know, my off season will come, and I'll show people what I'm doing, and I'll be happy to encourage, you know, kind of other people to do the same, because I think we do get very like kind of uptight and worried about showing people how we're doing, even when we're a bit softer or a bit fatter or a bit out of shape. Like, it's all part of a process. It's bodybuilding. Transparency for me is like the biggest thing, and I love it, and I think that's what makes this actually exciting. I know I do ramble on. Sorry, guys. I'm like going off on one, but no, I don't feel any pressure, really. To be fair, my only pressure is myself. Like, you know what you're capable of, and the only pressure you have is to adhere to a plan or not. And if you fuck up, that's your own fault, and that's the only pressure I have. It's just not fucking up.
I think that's a big thing. You know, I noticed this year that you were much more transparent about the process, and you know, through your own, you have your own YouTube, right? That you're building up now. You covered. I loved it. You were covering up to the show and all the behind the scenes stuff, and even the little things like Patrick working on your posing. You know, if somebody at your caliber still needs to work on that stuff, you know, certainly the amateurs below, but even at your level, small tweaks go a long way, and that's something that the average viewer typically isn't exposed to that stuff. You know, it's the one of the things I've really appreciated about you as a person, as you put yourself out there, is you're very much a real person, versus a lot of the industry through Instagram has this, you know, a pancake challenge every Sunday. We're eating, you know, this bizarre life of, let me show you my mansion and my sports car and the beautiful women at the club. And, you know,
it's a highlight reel.
Yeah. And
it's not realistic.
What they're not showing is, most of the time, maybe because their particular audience might find it boring, is the hard work, is the eating the regular meals. And I feel like for me, being a fan, and all of my friends around the local NPC level competitors that are fans, what they've been drawn to is you just pushing out the work ethic. And I've seen so many people post your photos, post your clips, and say, this is the guy that's inspiring me to go to the gym and kill it today. You know, not the guy with the 10,000, 20,000 calorie challenge videos and going to get his hair cut and his eyebrows done and all of this shit, you know, the celebrity lifestyle stuff. But this is the work that it takes to get there, and you may not have it.
Yeah. Do you know, it's because I don't want people to have a rude awakening of what it takes. So, like, imagine that when you're just showing the highlight reel and you're literally not showing them some of your hard times, some of your moments. And then, you know, they want to be something. They aspire to be like you, but you're not showing them it all. You know, you're just showing them the easy parts. I would feel irresponsible. I'd feel irresponsible. I want them to see when I'm having a hard time. I want them to see when I receive bad news. I want them to hear and understand what my choices are based on the back of tragedy, because that's part of it. It's life. And then at the same time, I want them to see the rewards from the wins, when I smile, when I'm happy, and when I get down on my knees and cry, because that's life, right? Just show them life. And that's the best thing you can do. It really is, just be absolutely open and honest about it, because then anyone that is aspiring to be a bodybuilder or good at anything, they're going to understand that the road is a zigzag and it's not just some straight line. And that's the most important thing, is just to understand that any path that you take, any road that you walk, is going to have those bumpy parts, but that's fine. That's normal. Don't make it feel abnormal for people, because then they'll question everything. Then they'll never be brave enough to try anything. They'll never be they'll never self-belief enough to think that anything's possible because you haven't shown them the realities. So yeah, I just think it's good to just, you know, it should be 50-50 really. Show them the good shit, show them the bad shit, and then they can take it from there. And anyone with half a brain understands that that's just life, and that is what it takes. Wins come, loses come, losses come. You know, relationships work, relationships break. Like, it's all part of it, man. That's just life. But it's so cheesy, I know. But at the end of the day, it's not what happens in between now and then. It's about how much you stay committed and how much you say, I'm not going to just call it a day. Because you only fail, like they say, is the day that you say I'm done. I could have quit so many times, like back in the day, like from especially like being the champ and then fucking coming back and not even placing. It's embarrassing. That embarrassed me. I had people in the audience there to see me win. But I'm a man, I'm not a fucking bitch. And I'll go away, I'll get in the gym the next day, and you'll see me in a year's time and I'll be much improved and I'll earn my way back to where I was, if not better. And that's life. And that's how it should be. And I know you guys, you know, especially Jose, you know, you've been there many times, like, and you've crushed it and you've come back and destroyed things and made challenges, you know, dissipate in front of you because you've got the balls to fucking do it. And that's all that matters.
That's what it takes. So I want to talk about your training in the last 2 years. How old are you right now?
I'm 31 now.
31. Crazy. So you probably made more gains in the past 2 years than you did your entire career.
Yeah, I think since, yeah.
How did that happen? What do you attribute that to? Because it looks like you almost doubled leg size. And I mean, you really, really made a huge change. And that's weird. You know, it's not like you were 19 to 23. I mean, you were 29 to 31, which is crazy.
Do you know what? It's like people, it's a drug thing or it's a food thing. You know, he's just doubled the trend. No, like honestly, I think if I'm honest, it's taking the off season probably more seriously. So using the off season as more of my, because let's be honest, it's like everyone always says, you present what you build in the off season, and I suppose that was something I never truly understood. Like I would have good off seasons, but not the quality of my preps. My preps would be fantastic and on the ball every time. Like I wouldn't miss a mark. And I think once you start to be able to do that all year round, including the off season, then you start to see noticeable changes. And Patrick, the funny thing is with Patrick, I started with him in like March or April, I can't remember which month. I weighed 275 pounds. I was mid diet. So we put a break on the diet. He took me up to 302 pounds and he brought me back down to like 265 for these shows. And I was fucking bigger at this 265 than that 275 because that few months that we had together in that off season were just so particular, precise and executed so well. So, you know, if you can do that in that time, if you're precise and everything's on point, if you have an off season like that, like for 3, 4, 5 months, you're going to make incredible gains. And that's something I haven't really done. So that's why I'm actually really excited now because I'm like, shit, I actually get an off season now with Patrick. And I think if I can do the same, you know, precision that we just had this year, but into that phase, then, you know, the sky's the limit. And that's the thing. I think that's the only real difference. Obviously, training itself has to be intense in order to stimulate and cause growth. And I do train hard. I'll always say that. One thing I do is train hard. And I eat hard. You know, I make sure I fuel the body. I think in the past I probably haven't quite eaten enough to facilitate how hard I train. And that's probably why sometimes when I've got close to shows, I just kind of go puff away because the body just starts running off itself and just eats itself. So yeah, I think with Patrick being so on point with nutrition, because that's where his strong point really is that he's able to feed me enough to maintain everything that I've built in the off season, bring you down slowly, make sure you hold your muscle and make sure you've still got everything that you've worked hard for in that period of time before. And that's all I think it is. I just think prior really to working with Patrick, I hadn't felt that I've been as disciplined as I should have been in the off season, even though I thought I was. It's just that I didn't know.
Right.
So I've been taught a lot, basically. I just have to say, Patrick, thank you, because you've taught me things in this last 6 months I didn't know for the last 10 years. Right. And that's it, really. I don't think there's any sort of like secret to it. You know, people will be like, oh, you must like use this or use that. It's really not that. If anything, Patrick's one of the most reserved people I've ever worked with, and actually, if anything, my body's probably more happy now than it's been, and that's probably massively a part responsible for the response, because my body's able to just do everything without feeling beat up.
Right.
So
how tall are you? You were 265 on stage. That's
yeah,
crazy.
5'11".
Oh, you are
I'm not
5'11".
sure. Yeah, I'm a 5'11" guy, so I'm quite tall.
Wow, I didn't realize that. You appear shorter. Maybe that's because you're so thick.
I'm hoping that's always a good thing. When people say you appear short, I'm happy. I'm happy.
Yeah, you looked short next to Regan. Regan, what is he, 6 foot?
Yeah, he's about 6 foot. He's a touch taller than me. He's a big chap. He's a big guy.
Yeah, he is. He's very wide.
Clavicles
tall.
clavicles are crazy.
Yeah. Wow. So, dude, that's crazy. 260. I didn't know you weighed that much.
Yeah.
I thought you were more like 5'9", 245.
Nah, I'm quite heavy. Quite heavy. I'm hoping.
Well, yeah, you're tall. I didn't realize you were that tall. That's crazy. Wow. So you basically just confirmed you're not doing the Olympia, because you really couldn't if you wanted to.
Yeah, like this. Listen, like I said, 2-week quarantine, and then there's still another 4-week isolation here. 6 weeks
you
out.
Can't do it.
And the Olympians when?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if I was able to do it, it would have been, I would have had to have got out a week ago, but then I couldn't have done the 21 qualifier. So it was a choice. It's a toss up between qualify for 2021 and have an amazing prep, or qualify just for 2020, go for a show, and then have to re-prep again and qualify next year. My mind did all the maths.
Yeah, you almost didn't have a choice there.
No, like I had it, but it's like, what choice is better? And I think you guys would agree.
Yeah.
When you can focus on one show with more time,
right,
it's a no-brainer.
So you say one show. Will you compete in anything else, or will you focus the whole year on the Olympia?
All on the Olympia. I've got high expectations of myself now. I feel I want to say that I'll do better than people think I will, and that's what I want. You know, I want people to think, yeah, James could maybe be top 10, and then I'll go and do something much better.
So Redcon doesn't have any stipulations where they want you to compete in certain shows or anything?
No.
They just let you do it.
Aaron likes the plan. I said to Aaron, look, like, this year is not really great for me. So I'll do the British. This is just before the British. I'll do the British, and I'm going to try and win that, and I'll get to the 2021 Olympia, and it'll be all balls to the wall for that. And like I say, I expect to be able to do pretty well there. So yeah, all on that. One show, one focus, one goal. It gives me time to recoup now and get that mental time, because I'm going to be real. I need some time now just to enjoy a bit of food, relax, spend some time with my partner. You know, just be a bit human for a while, because the more human I can be for a period of time now, the more machine the more machine I can be when I have to be. And then once that's happening, it's like, you know how you got to be. You got to be an unstoppable force. But you have to prep. You have to prime that. You know, you try and do that shit all year round, it can burn people out, and I'm not willing to burn out. I just want to get it right. You know. Do
you have any plans to use that dual side-by-side shitter in the outhouse?
Oh, of course, many a time.
Yeah,
I'll be there for Christmas. We'll be using it. I've said, like, I'll film a few podcasts from within there. No problem.
I love it. I gotta
great.
See a picture of that. Make sure you post it.
Oh, and I'll get one. I'll put it on my main feed, definitely. I should be out there for Christmas, so I should be able to get some good pictures and show you exactly what it's about.
Yeah, it sounds very interesting.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's amazing.
Yeah. Nate, go ahead, Nate.
So obviously you mentioned you worked with Patrick and you had an amazing year. Crazy progress. Before that, you worked with Aceto for a show.
Yeah, just a quick one. Me and Aceto just did a nice short, but he did amazing. Like, we had like 6 weeks and he got me in great shape, and I managed to get top 5. So I was like, wow, like, he's certainly someone that knows what he's doing.
Yeah. And then Jordan Peters before that, right?
It was Phil Viz for my first few shows as a pro. Me and Jordan turned pro together. So I worked with Jordan during my last amateur year.
So with each of those, because what I wanted to get to is, what's something that you've taken away from each coach during the time? Because, you know, essentially when you know, you worked with, let's say, these 4 coaches, right? Yep. You have, from what I've seen talking to people, 3 types of guys. ones that are loyal to the death of this is the guy that I'm with and I'm not changing no matter what. You have the complete opposite end of the spectrum, which is things didn't turn out how I wanted. It's the coach's fault. I'm going to another coach.
Yeah.
And then you have where I think you are, which is I want to keep learning, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to do something with somebody, see what that's about. This other guy has a different approach. I want to see what that's about. It's not, you're not putting a blame on a coach for replacing. It's more about self-development. So what have you taken away from each coach?
My thing is synchronicity. So it's about how do I sync with someone on a personal level beyond anything. Like there has to be a bond. And what I would say is that every coach I've had before, although I've been able to become great friends with and whatnot, something's not quite there. That's just the truth. But I have learned certainly from them all. Jordan taught me the importance of not being a bitch in the gym and actually lifting the loads that I'm capable of. Because I would get close to a show and think, yeah, let's just start doing reps and all that shit. Jordan was the first person to kind of install that. If you stay strong during prep, keep strong all the way into the show. Do everything you can to preserve muscle. Chris showed me how much you can really change in the last week before a show with certain manipulations. He's a god at you can look like you're 3 weeks out and then all of a sudden you look one day out because he's just able to manipulate things like water and stuff really, really well. I think probably the best at doing that. And Phil just taught me like loads of like good little pointers that were just, about keeping digestion good, blood sugar, just keep an eye on that. Some more the health markers things. Like he had a real good concern for like just keeping bowel movements great and all the little things that no one really considers. He was really good with. So they kind of all had something they taught me. And then when I spoke to Patrick, the funny thing is, without mentioning anything to Patrick about previous coaches, he was kind of like all of them in one, and more. Like he's like something special. Like there's no one like him. Like I can't put into words what Patrick is. He's like, I will say he's the best coach in the world. That's my opinion. Partly because of his knowledge, but also partly because of his passion and because of how invested he becomes in your process and your progress. He cares just as much for you as you care for you. And that's the crazy thing. And I haven't witnessed that from anybody in a long time. So I think that's the key to being the best in the world at what you do, is when it means as much to you as breathing. And it really does for him.
Do you get to see him in the off season? Where does he live?
He's in Switzerland, but we FaceTime and stuff. But I will go and see him because I only started working with him when lockdown happened, the first one. So obviously travel hasn't been something we've been able to do. So everything we've managed to achieve is literally over the phone.
Okay.
So when the time comes that we can get together and train and stuff, I'll be doing it definitely. So he's already invited me out to his new house in Switzerland to come and catch up and, spend some time and do some training and just talk shit. And he's always welcome over here. So once the world opens up a bit, we'll certainly be catching up properly. And hopefully, especially get some content for my YouTube with actually him there. Because that's something a lot of people want to know. They want to hear from Patrick a bit more. And I'd love people to hear from him more. So hopefully that's something we can do in the near future.
Yeah, I haven't seen him in many interviews or anything.
No, he's done, like I say, he's done a couple with Fuad off the back of us working together.
Yeah.
And, they were really popular and people really liked his kind of methodology. And, it's funny, the amount of people from England that now like have him coaching them. It's like crazy. Like they all jumped on it. And I don't blame them. I don't blame them at all, because you go where success is. And, success leaves clues, and Patrick's left a lot of clues. I think the thing with Patrick, he's exceptional at certain body types as well. Like I'm not saying he can't coach everyone, but I always found it hard to find a guy that could coach a good, big, solid white guy. Sounds weird, but coaches all have different abilities with different people. Yeah. Some are great with a 212 guy. Some are great with a black fella. Some are great with fucking Hispanic fella. Like they have like a certain understanding of certain body types and genetics.
Yeah.
And I looked at Patrick because of how he was working with people like Josh and Artowitz,
Nicholas.
Ian, Nicholas. So guys that somehow like kind of presented something that I can relate to, because I feel like if you can find a coach who can work with what you can relate to, then that kind of makes sense. And it sounds very base level, but it's so true. Like What's the point of me if I went with a coach that only works with women? And the women are all Hispanic. They get peeled to the bone, and then I'm the first fucking jolly fucking Caucasian to come in the mix. I'm not saying that he couldn't do the job, but I'm just saying like you've walked into a position where there's no kind of evidence of. So for me, it was really easy to like kind of get in touch with Patrick just because of the amount of evidence that was laid in front of me, and it just made sense because of that. So,
hey, can you describe to me what this kid Angel Calderon looks like in person?
oh,
I
he's a
saw a
freak.
picture of you with him,
He's a
and he
freak.
looked like he was up to your hip.
He's a freak.
What does he look like? The
He's like
pictures I've seen of him are bananas.
he looks filtered in real life. like he's so stone hard, and he's just wiping the floor with the 212 shows in a minute. Like he won European as well.
Yeah,
he won Romania last year as well. So he's won Romania, he's won European, and he's won the British, and he's going to do Romania next week as well. Like he just keeps winning shit. Like he's a freak. He's a different animal. Like there's some really good 212 guys there, and they look fantastic. They're more aesthetic than him, yes, more flow perhaps, but you can't deny. There's just something about someone who's rock solid, built like a brick shithouse, and separated to hell that you can't deny.
Nobody's as grainy as that guy.
No, but
That
like
is
you
crazy.
used to come in, like you know how you used to come in like seriously grainy,
Yeah.
and that would kick the arse of people that some would argue that have the flow.
Right.
But I'm like you. I prefer the fucking. You want to. You're not meant to be. You're meant to be a monster. Like you're on stage to be. It's a muscular show. It's bodybuilding. So yeah, Regan's like he's fantastic. He's a freak. Very good.
How tall is he?
Oh, he's short. Mate, listen, fuck yeah, like God, probably comes up to my shoulder. But watch out for him at the Olympia, man.
Yeah, I thought he was really overlooked last year. He placed something like 9th, and I would have had him in the first call out.
That's probably why he's done all these shows, just to say, judges, look, I'm not messing about now.
Right. So do you think he's going to make it in?
Oh, well, if Regan's training with him and Regan's going to make it in, then perhaps. I think they will because they're not from the UK. I don't know how they listen. There's been a lot of breaking rules because let's be honest here. There was people that came to the British show that should have quarantined for 2 weeks, upon arrival that did the show. So I'm just saying, like, I'm not picking out because they're all my friends. But
interesting.
So, and that's happening wherever everyone's going. So people are just doing what they're doing. So I'm pretty sure some of them will get into the Olympia because they seem to have managed to get into other shows, which technically no one should have been able to. So,
so you see,
really,
Regan's training with Angel. Is that in Spain or is that in Canada?
It's in Spain. It's in Spain because Regan's basically got a B&B. He was telling me that in Spain, just because it's base of operations for the minute, because he might as well have that base there because he's floating around this area, and then he can do technically he's quarantining in Spain, and then he can go straight to the Olympia or straight home. So he's kind of done it. He's planned it in a certain way.
Is he doing Romania as well?
He's doing Romania as well because he really wants that qualification like I got. That's why he came to try and take me down in Britain. That's why he came for me. He didn't even tell no one. He didn't tell no one he was doing that show. He just rocked up, cheeky bastard.
Well, I think that's the best he's looked yet.
Yeah, he was good, mate. He was very improved from the Europeans. It was definitely a lot closer. And he had.
He just needs time.
Yeah, like a little bit. I just
think young physique.
It's more like within the muscle, what's going on. You know, he's got the muscle, but what's going on within the muscle? Some of that gnarly, some of the just the general work look. Like it looks like it hasn't been worked enough yet.
Right.
It's almost like he needs to just be a bit older, even though he's probably the same age. But maybe I probably started training younger, so I'm looking like an old man.
Wait. Like, Regan's got to be 5 years younger than you.
He can't be. Yeah, he can't be as old as me.
I think he's 25.
Way. Oh well, if he's that, then there you go.
Yeah, I think he's 25 or 26 maximum.
If he's that age, then give him 2-3 years, and it's going to start looking, how.
Yeah, people forget how old he is, how young he is.
That's the difference between first and second at some shows. Just when you've got two guys, it's kind of like when I think Tampa when it was Sergio and Alex. I can't remember how to pronounce his name.
Rivera.
Yeah, so he's got all the maturity.
Calderon. He's got like 5 names.
All the maturity. Both of them were probably musculature, probably the same, but separation and detail. Alex just had it, and that's why he walked away with that win.
Yeah.
Jose's
Gentlemen, do you mind if can I just refill this? I'll come straight back. Is that all right while we're on air? Is that
Go
right?
ahead.
Let's get some more water. And I need a wee really quickly, but my toilet's behind me. You know, I've got really bad bladder since the show. I've been like struggling to hold in a piss for for fucking 10 minutes lately. So I don't mind everyone knowing that. I don't know why it is. So
Nate's got the same problem. Don't worry about it.
It's like I'm about 46 years old, for fuck's sake.
Hey, take it easy with the 46.
Yeah, Regan is 27.
He's 20. Yeah, so he's 4 years younger than him.
It says his height's 5'11". So whether he's just a tall looking 5'11" because he's just not as beefy as James, or if he's actually at 6 feet.
Yeah, he's a 6-footer.
Yeah, 27. I was like, I know he's young, but I feel like 25 seemed a little young, because you got guys like Keon, right? That's 25. That's like Regan's been around a little bit longer.
Yeah, it's all the same to me, dude. 25, 27.
Same to me at this point too.
Yeah, there ain't no difference there. But Regan, if he maintains this schedule, by the time he's 30, 31, early 30s, he's going to be, with another 10, 15 pounds of granite hard muscle, he can really do some serious damage.
For sure.
Thanks, gentlemen.
How did you piss too, or just fill the water?
Piss, got some water, and my missus is in the toilet just cleaning everything because she's just got back from Norway today.
So would you pee in the tub?
No, in the actual toilet.
Oh, I thought you said she was on the toilet.
No, she's in the bathroom. Sorry, she's in the toilet doing the cleaning because she's just got back, so she's got to do her cleaning stuff because she's been away for like 2 months. The first time I've seen her. So
that was a topic that Fuad just had you talking about, taking a dump while your lady's in the bathroom with you.
Oh yeah, no problem. I have
no problem with that, huh?
No, none at all. Listen, if my best mate did it around me, my missus can do it around me. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, because
you don't want to leave a little mystery.
I don't know. Like Nate, if you was at Jose's house and you desperately needed to go for a shit, and Jose's doing his teeth, what do you do?
I would ask him to leave the room. I would wait. Jose and I are close, but we're not that close.
I'd sit down and have a conversation while he's doing his teeth.
I don't know if I could brush my teeth while someone's shitting.
Yeah, that's a bit different, isn't it? Actually, mint and we'll leave it there.
So, James, when things calm down, are you gonna go over to visit Fuad and stay in his guest house?
Yeah, definitely. We got to do an eating challenge. We do. There's 2 eating challenges we've got to do. We've got to do 5 kilos of potato in a day challenge, which I think is easy because I like potato.
5 kilos?
Yeah, 5 kilos we've got to do. Someone said, could you do that? And I've said yes. And so we will do it. We'll give it a go. And then obviously we just need to go and do, I think he likes doing a burger challenge. So that's due as well. So I'll definitely go over there. I'm looking forward to seeing Canada because I haven't actually been.
Yeah, he lives in a nice area. I believe he's out right outside of Toronto.
Yeah, I have been. Sorry, I've been to Canada, but not his area. I did Toronto, so yeah, I have been to Canada, and I like Toronto a lot. So,
what year was that?
I did Toronto last year.
Wait, so who won that one?
It Nathan? Was De La Rosa.
Oh, that's right.
It was De La Rosa.
That's right. How did you feel standing? Did you get to stand next to him?
Yeah, I was in the first call out, and then I got moved down to 6th. So I was floating around like 4 and 5, and then got moved out as the show went on, just faded. And yeah, unfortunately, just normal sort of procedure for last year.
John's got a great physique, beautiful.
One of the nicest front double bicep shots.
Yeah,
he's
really
got the
ridiculous. Tiny hips, flaring quads, broad shoulders, crazy. And huge arms.
His arms are wacky.
Right.
He was first. Ian Valier was second. Right. Yeah, third was I can't actually remember who was third, but it was a good show. I enjoyed it, and I liked the area. I liked being there. It was one of the nicest cities I've been to, actually.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's really cool.
How many
really
pro shows have you done now?
So first year as a pro, I did Spain, Tampa and Prague. Second year as a pro, I did Spain, New York Pro, Toronto, sorry, British Grand Prix, and Romania. And then this year, I just did the 2. So I've done a few.
Did you used to go and watch the shows like in 2012? Did you go watch the British Grand Prix?
Yeah, I was there because I was competing as well. So I was there competing as an amateur. And then obviously you had the British Grand Prix on, which had the 212 and the Open. I don't think I watched it that year because I was so busy in my own prep. But I was there. But Flex obviously won the Grand Prix. And Sean Roden won the Open.
Yeah.
So
that was one of the greatest 212 lineups of all time.
Yeah, I remember that being a really wacky one. Did you do that one as well, Jose?
Yeah, I did. I was third.
Yeah, how did you find it being here? Did you like it? Was it like a good experience?
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, I knew so many people, and of course, Neil Hill was the promoter. So
Neil and Simon.
Neil and Simon, and we had everything we needed, and all the guys that did that show, we had been competing together for so long that it was a fun trip. It was me, Flex, Guy, Eduardo. I don't know if you knew it, but Bonac placed 5th with that show.
Bonac, he was 212.
He was 5th in the
202 at the time. Was it 212 or 202 at the time?
It was 212. That was the first year of 212.
Okay. Yeah, Bonac, man. Thinking about that now, and it's a bit crazy, isn't it? Thinking he used to be that way. It was
crazy.
Wow.
I mean, if you went back and looked at it, you could make an argument for him winning. He was so nuts. But it was just like him sucking down to 212. His physique wasn't able to pop.
Yeah, like it can now.
Looked tired.
That's the thing. Like once you're just slightly below what you need to be, it changes everything.
Right. We're dealing with that with Nate. Yeah. Nate is a heavyweight that we keep sucking down to light heavyweight, and he's like a tweener. He could make 198, but he's 5'8". So most light heavies are my height. So it's a tough battle, and I'm saying we just go in at 203, 204, whatever, wherever he lands, that's where he goes in, and that's where he'll look his best.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of good people literally just be in the weight category, just tip over. I remember when Cecil Crosdale won our overall British, and he was a super heavyweight, but he only weighed like 100, just over 100 kilo, which was literally, he was like a few pounds over the weight. But he looked fantastic, and he wiped the floor of everyone because it was his best look. So, just do what's your best look, really, isn't it? I suppose. Does that make sense?
That's the plan.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think you should ever hinder your own look just for the weight, the scales.
Right. Sometimes you can get away with it when you're really short. Like when I was coming up as an amateur, I was the shortest guy in the class.
Yeah.
So as long as I made weight, I was still the biggest guy.
Yeah, because and the thing is, I've noticed it's okay for some people if they're shorter to be a little bit flat because the detail's still really good.
Right.
I found if you're a taller person, if you go flat, you actually look softer.
Right.
Like it's weird. It's just so you actually look like you're a few weeks out, even though you're not. It's mad. So it definitely comes down to a lot of the structural kind of side of things as well.
Exactly. Yeah. Nate, what do you got?
So one last question for me. We know what your competition plans are now. Go into a real off season with Patrick, make some crazy improvements, make a statement at the Olympia. Outside of competing, what are some of your personal or professional goals that you have set for yourself besides just doing the Olympia?
Really, just to be fair, just to get focused a little bit more on kind of the YouTube, if I'm honest, to share a bit more knowledge and information, and just, I can't say educate because I don't feel like I really educate people, but I like to present truths and just let them make of it what they will. I don't think I'm an educator. I don't think I'm qualified to call myself that, but certainly interact with the people a bit more. Get around some of the gyms a bit more. I've been asked to go and do some kind of gym visits and stuff. So I kind of just want to do the stuff that fills the gaps in between.
Are you still managing Kings, James?
Yeah, I'm still part of Kings. I don't have to do fuck all. It's really relaxed.
Do you have access to that during this shutdown? Like still a place to train?
Yeah, I do. So it's pretty good. So I can still do some cardio, still go train. So it suits me, obviously. It's a great place. We're actually opening another one as well after this lockdown. So it'll be our third gym. So it's going all right. But yeah, like I have no real. I'm pretty content, if I'm honest. I've kind of done what I set out to do. I've exceeded actually a little bit of what I thought was possible with this year. I didn't think things would come as well as they did, as fast as they did. So I'm actually just purely excited to see what can be done. I'm all bodybuilding in a minute, really, I suppose. I'm really looking forward to what me and Patrick can do with another solid year. And I think that's what's the most exciting thing. But in the interim, I'm going to eat some takeaways and just chill out and, see and spend time with some loved ones. And like I say, just try and get absolutely refreshed. Obviously, working with Redcon's really good. And I'm hoping that we can come up with some more cool ideas with them. They obviously did the T-shirts for me this year and stuff. So I know, just work with them and do some more content for them as well. And just basically just do it as a job and just enjoy it and just like really appreciate the position I'm in. Because it's quite rare to have that, especially being from the UK. Because obviously, I'm not in the middle of it. I'm not in the heart of it. I'm not in America. But fortunately, I have a really good support network. So, yeah, I don't know. I just take one day at a time and I just enjoy it. And I'm just really fortunate to have everything I have. If there's anything that comes up in the meantime that I fancy doing and I wish to invest in and try, and maybe I will, and I'll let people know. But, right now I'm kind of just on that cloud nine from the 2 victories, because it's like before these victories, I was thinking, even as a pro, to get a victory is a big deal. Like, just to be able to say, when I was a pro, I won a show. And then, like, in a matter of a month, I managed to squeeze 2 wins in. I'm still kind of like, fuck, I don't know where I'm at. So I'm still kind of like
when you first turned pro, this was something that came up. We spoke to Sean Clarita last week.
Yeah.
And the standout for me with Clarita, turning pro as a bantamweight is, I asked him, was your career over at that point? Were you thinking like, I'll never win another show again? I would probably think that if I turned pro as a middleweight or, anything less than light heavy. And he was like, no, I knew I was going to win a show. I went to see the New York Pro as an amateur and I said, I'm going to win that show. Were you like that? Or were you very much like, mission accomplished, I got this pro card, whatever happens after this, I don't know if I can win a show?
Nah, I always wanted to win a show. I still have the show I want to win is the Arnold. That's my goal. So, and I had that goal set since I saw Branch do it. So that's really my goal as a pro, is to win the Arnold Classic one day. I never said to myself, oh, James, you can win the Olympia, because I look at the Olympia like it's something completely different, because it's based on so many factors. Like, the person that has to win the Olympia is a genetic phenomenon, and they come once in a blue moon, and they are the face of bodybuilding, and that takes something very special. Especially, like, I think for the open category, not taking away from anyone else, but I think it's not as interchangeable. I honestly think that there's certain criteria that just have to be met. Whereas I feel like with the Arnold Classic, it's like, I feel like you can win that on hard work alone. I don't know if that makes sense, but to me, it feels like that's possible. So yeah, for me, it's like, until the Arnold gets won, that's when I'll retire. So you can basically confirm that within the next 2 to 3 years, I'll be trying to do an Arnold, and I'll be gunning for number 1, whether it works out or not, who knows, but I'll certainly do my fucking best.
Speaking of Branch Warren, you do remember 2009, right?
Yeah.
When he was like just points away from winning the Olympia.
You could have argued many people preferred how he looked to Jay.
Yeah. So he came out first, and I thought there was something wrong with my computer.
Too sharp.
He was sharp. So yeah. And then the next like 8 guys looked way off. I'm like, something's going on here. And then Jay came out, and I'm like, okay, all right. I guess it's just Jay and Branch.
Yeah,
they were the only 2 that looked like that.
Yeah, phenomenal, like unreal. And that's why I had faith in someone like my ability, because again, the whole looking at people whose genetics makeup is not too dissimilar to your own allows you to kind of understand what potential is there. So like Branch,
I can see it.
He's a hero because I can look at him and I can relate to him in certain aspects. So if he can go and do that and win 2 Arnold Classics and come second in the Olympia, fuck, why can't we?
He won one of them 6 months after a quad repair.
Yeah.
Stupid. I mean, that don't get any more badass than that.
That's just like Branch Warren all over, isn't it? That's the
epitome. It's part of the legend.
That is what he is. It's just that guy that just refused to quit.
Yeah.
I thought I met Branch actually. He came over with Gasp, and you know, we looked after him for a couple of days. Just went out to like London City with him and Michael and the team, and he's a top guy. Like we were sitting and I was actually dieting for a show, and of all places, we took him to go and get British fish and chips, and we're sitting there. Branch has got his beer and fish and chips, and me and my friend who were like hosting, were sitting there like literally mid diet, getting ready for a show, salivating, thinking, "Fuck, I could do that fish and chips right now." But it was easy to not do it because Branch is telling you everything it took to win the fucking Arnolds. He was like explaining how, you know, everyone's like, you know, Dexter had the genetics, but he ain't gonna fucking beat me because I've got the fucking work rate, and that's the thing, and that's why I suppose that contributes to my mentality I have now, because I've heard it from the horse's mouth.
Right.
And the more you hear it from the horse's mouth and people that have evidence of doing well, then, you know, the more you understand that it literally is as simple as that. Just commit. Don't give up.
That's it. You've already shown it, because the shows that you've won, there have been prettier physiques. There have been guys who have possibly better genetics, but the only common denominator is you worked harder. You can tell by the look on your physique that more effort went into that physique than the others, and that's what put you over the top.
Yeah, I always said it, like I always said to Patrick, like, you're gonna know who's like silly things like deadlifting. I know it's not for everyone, but not the movement itself, but the requirement of energy that it takes to do that properly when you're 3 weeks out. I said to Patrick, the difference between me and the other guys on stage is you're going to know that I bent over and pulled that shit off the floor, and they didn't.
Right.
And that was what I said to myself like a few weeks out from Spain. I said, the difference between me and Spain, everyone else in Spain, is going to be you're going to notice that I'm the one that literally leant over and pulled the heaviest fucking shit off the ground.
Yeah. And there was 7 plates attached to it.
This is what I mean. So I was like, I'm not refusing to, because those things you can't see on the live stream, you can't see on pictures, you can only see in the flesh. Yeah. You know, you'll see who's dense, and if you bring that kind of density, then it will be rewarded. And that was the goal. The goal was just to try and bring that, because like I say, I know genetically I'm not the most aesthetic, and I know I'm not the most separated bodybuilder, but you know, you can get gnarly hard, and you know you can be full, and you know you can be certainly granite, and if you can bring those attributes, then no reason why you can't beat someone who should be better, who hasn't quite nailed it. So
I want to ask you something. So leading into a show, when everything starts firing and you're just, you know, everything between your diet, your sleep, your training, do you ever notice you're actually getting stronger? You're at 5 weeks out, 4 weeks out, and you're getting stronger at a point where people are telling you shouldn't be, and you should be backing off. And you know, some of my greatest lifts of all time were within 30 days of a show.
Yeah.
Or sometimes even closer.
I find that your body at that point, because like you just said then, it's firing. So, you know, nutrient uptake's at its best, partitioning's at its best. And if you've got the other factors in place like sleep, and you're, you know, monitoring the amount of output you have like in the gym and cardio and stuff, and if everything's just where it needs to be, you essentially should be in a position where you're able to function at your best when it comes time to lift the weights. And I noticed that, definitely. Like I was probably like 5 weeks out, and I was putting like over 700 pounds, you know. And normally, I've had off seasons where that's a struggle.
Right. So that's my point.
It's like you say, if things start firing on all cylinders. Another thing I'll say to that as well is when it does that, take it.
Right.
Fucking don't shy away from that, because because there'll come a day where you can't.
You're right, and I think the physique shows it.
Definitely.
The one that shows up that's still full, round, hard, and crazy looking, that's the guy that didn't stop training.
Well, and listen, like I remember Evan saying, it's like, where would you rather burn calories? Lifting some heavy shit or walking on a shitty treadmill?
Right.
Like, don't get me wrong, you got to do cardio. I think it is a necessary thing. But how much ratio of cardio versus weights do you want to do? So my advice is always make sure when you're in the gym you work like a fucking animal, because then it'll limit the amount of cardio you have to do, and therefore you're spending more time preserving muscle and actually getting conditioned via contractions rather than walking on a treadmill.
Yeah. So speaking of Evan, we went and did a video with him, trained with him, and that was Nate's first experience of seeing Evan in person. He was blown away at
He looked great. He looked great, didn't he?
He was unreal. You know,
I'm wondering if he's still like lean right now, or if he's chilling out.
I think he backed off a little bit, but he still looks phenomenal. He's planning on doing the New York Pro in the spring if it's, if everything's a go.
Yeah, I hope it is.
I'm so pumped to see it.
I
can't wait.
I am as well. He's like one of my favorite bodybuilders. Like, as a bodybuilder, outside of even being a friend, like I always, when I was prepping for shows when I was younger, I would always put on the animal videos of Evan. The ones where he's just sitting and talking and it's just black and white, because everything he says made sense and it just fed my mentality. Like his outlook is just perfect for bodybuilding. And like he said, whether he gets on stage ever again or not, it doesn't change who he is. And I still look at him I'd still look at him the same. I still think he's one of the most inspiring bodybuilders that we've had. And I agree. Whether you've had 3 pro wins or 30 like Dexter,
right,
you find inspiration from where you find it. And I find Evan to be one of the most inspirational.
Yeah, I think he'll be doing it. I think he'll be on stage in New York. He's got some motivation behind why he wants to do it, and
good.
I think we'll see it. I'm
excited. If he does it, travel's fine. I'll be going to watching it. I'll be definitely getting there to watch it.
Yeah. I think they'll promote the shit out of it too.
Yeah.
So you got anything else for him, Nate?
No, nothing on my end.
Nothing. Well,
nice and chill.
Thanks so much, James. You're a great dude, and we'll keep in touch. Try to get some updates from you. See how everything's going.
Of course, appreciate that, and I really value both of you taking time out of your day to talk to me.
Well, you've had huge success, and man, I couldn't be happier for you. Like I said in that message, the entire bodybuilding community, you seem to. You're one of those guys that everyone pulls for and everyone is a big fan of. So everyone is proud of you and happy for you. So keep up the great work and keep doing what you're doing.
Thanks,
and great things are coming, man.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that a lot. And I promise to continue working my ass off.
I know you will. All right, we'll be in touch, brother. Thanks again.
Cheers, guys. Have a great day. Yeah.
All right. Take care.
Thanks.